Hello everyone, Chill Season 2023 is here, and we got two brand new maps with actually so much to say about them that for once I'm splitting this review into two parts. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Ramen stage. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoy, and let's get right into it. So first up for Ramen, I am a fan of this spawn area. There's a pretty open left and right side. Starting on the left side of the map here, it does have a bit too many one-way drops here. I think a defending sponge would have done wonders here, though in some modes there are paintable blocks, but this basically gives you access to the main flank route on this left side, being this tunnel, and your own tunnel on the right side. On top of that, all of these walls are actually paintable, so you can just climb up here and poke and emit. So it gives you a ton of options here, which I really like. It's really only the ability to get cornered down here quite easily on both of these two sides. As you can see here, that's a bit of a problem, but all things considered, isn't too big a deal. I think this is a pretty good area. Speaking of the tunnels, I think it's very nice as a left side flank here to kind of go around and behind. It obstructs the vision of the enemy team a lot, which can make it a lot more useful as a flank. You can even zip caster around these, which is cool. And you have this ledge to be able to climb. Unfortunately, they did make part of this wall uninkable, so you can't squid surge up here. But it is still pretty cool. Pretty useful. Now, the far right side is something even cooler I just gotta show off. Yeah. Now, that's a fast route. Now, obviously, you can still get shot if you try to drop down there, but it does mean the enemy team has to be really ready for it. Mainly, they have to be pushed up here to be able to take care of it. If they're not actually on this block, it's a really cool route to be able to just drop straight down into your trench. Besides that, though, there is a good amount of defensive high ground. Obviously, the part I just jumped from, but there's this area over here and this perch over here. All of these are great high ground retake options. You could even argue this spot could be a little bit useful at times, though the wall kind of negates some of that. So you have like good spots for something like a crab tank. You could splash down and have stuff hit the trench, I guess, and stuff like that. So all of that is good. This area of spawn is fine. Again, defensive sponge would have helped a bit to be able to go back a little bit, but it's still a bit wider of an area with plenty of cover to move around with, so I think it works quite well. Middle of the map is pretty small, but I think it works fine. There's a lot of different options around it, so mid really didn't need to be that big, and it's enough to center the fight here. You can very easily push to holding this high ground here. This is the main spot you want to be to hold, and even though you get some really good defensive positions, as you can see here, the defending team still has two higher ground locations to be able to contest you from, which I think is pretty smart. So yeah, as a whole, very positive first impressions of this map on zones. A lot of people have been comparing it to Muscle Forge, and I get it, but the difference is this trench actually takes you somewhere on both sides. The map is much more open. This area is not a tiny bridge that's easy to camp. Your snipe area is not a tiny snipe area, as you can see here in Muscle Forge. While it's a similar shape, the map is both completely different and actually has its own unique gimmick with this trench. And that's something I'll get to with both these maps. I think this is enough to count as a kind of unique area with how this tunnel is played out. I don't think there's another Splatoon map like it, which is really cool. Now, TC has a few changes. They made this bridge grates to make it a bit more difficult to cross, probably because this is very lockout heavy, and we have this rail added here to be able to jump across, which is cool. And in this trench, we have this little wall thing, the tower falls that you can climb up. And for whatever reason, this part was like made really wide, but then the wall was made uninkable and they put a block here. Yeah, I don't know why that's a thing, but okay. The tower itself does lend for a lot of jumps. You can go up here, you can go onto this side of the wall pretty easily. This first checkpoint area here is a little bit attacker favored. You have a lot of high ground and vantage points, but then the tower drops down here, and this is a good spot for a second check because you are still exposed. You're not completely in the trench at this point, so you can still get surrounded pretty easily. You get a nice tower jump over here to be able to go across, just to add on to that. And the tower does go into a trench, but only for a little bit. Adds another tower jump over here. And then from there, it moves over to this right side, where again, I think defenders have plenty of options, and you get one more tower jump to be able to push here. I do wish this tower stayed a little bit lower on its final part. I wish it kind of went into this corner here, but instead it kind of goes up here, and that makes it very easy to kind of get the rest of the push going once you get to 10 points remaining. Besides that, the map mode is pretty much the same thing. I think this tower path is something we have to experiment with a bit. It definitely has a few points where it's attacker favored, and given that tower is a very attacker favored mode, that could be a problem, but it is something we'll have to test out and see, and I think it's definitely okay at absolute worst. It doesn't even seem bad to me with how solid the stage is. So Rainmaker having the pedestal here introduces a ramp to get into your spawn, but it is pretty difficult for the attacking team to get over here, so that's fine. What has changed though is this top right side is way less of a vantage point, so it means getting down into this trench is a lot harder. You kind of just roll down here, which is okay, but yeah, definitely a downgrade. Also, no idea why this grade is here. The rail has been upgraded though with this nice jump, and there is grades on the other side of this wall to be able to go around, which are very nice added routes in the trenches back to normal over here. On this lower half, there is this defensive block, which is actually uninkable and kind of looks like it would be inkable, but you know, that's what it is, and that at least gives you a way to get back here for defenders, which is really nice, and for attackers, this becomes a route we'll get to later. 2-check Rainmaker map, which is always nice, and a bit of a Rainmaker free zone in the trench. I haven't found it to be that strong for stalling, but it's nice that it's there just in case. Let's talk about the left path on Rainmaker. This path is way too good. I think they should have kept the Great Bridge over here that they did in Tower Control, because it would have made this path a lot worse, and then maybe kept the high ground a little bit stronger. But as it stands right now, yeah, you kind of just put the Rainmaker over here, you get crabs, you get jetpacks, you get Zuka up here, and then you can push over here and stand the Rainmaker here, even climb up top this wall, just sit on high ground, you can absolutely bombard that area over there, and then when you're ready, you just get a nice little stroll all the way over to the goal. Now, as for the right path, it does have a very nice checkpoint breakaway. You can pretty much get here in one jump from mid, so if nobody's looking, this is a nice way to get the check out of the way. But after that, this right side route is, like, not bad by any means. It's okay, and it still gets you to, like, the 30-point marker fairly quickly. So it's solid. It's definitely not a bad route. But compared to just how free the left side is, it does leave this route feeling a little bit undertuned. I would say this is definitely the weakest mode for this map, honestly. Just, again, this whole left side part is a big problem, but I think if they were to give the defensive area back, add a bit more grates there, that way the routes would be a bit more even and this wouldn't be as free, I think it could end up pretty good. But as of right now, I do think it has one too many problems. This is not ramen. It's the wrong map. So, Clam Blitz. Let's get the bad news out of the way. This shrunken area over here is still here, but outside of that, I think this is pretty solid. We got the Clam Blitz basket over here. This block over here comes back, being a much more useful little Clam Blitz flank. And outside of that, the map is basically the same as it was in Rainmaker. Like, there is pretty much no notes for changes other than the fact that the rail is not here, which is a bit unfortunate, but okay. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. It can still be a little attacker favored when they score, but it's not really that bad. You have to be very close to the basket that it makes it a bit easy for defenders to be able to clear. I mainly just worry about like crab spots up here and a bit over here being a little bit too good. However, I do think it's not that bad. This could definitely be a map mode we see played, especially given how good the rest of the map is. I think it basically makes this worth it when compared to most of the other Splatoon 3 maps. So yeah, Ramen is a really, really good stage. This might be the best stage in the game right now in terms of the amount of map modes that you can play it in, with only Rainmaker being one I'd consider bad. So yeah, we are continuing to see the stage design improve. It's great to see more tunnels as a unique gimmick, more paintable walls, just good stuff all around. Glad to see we have a fun version of Muscle Forge Fitness.